Welcome to another special episode of the Screaming Eagle Father Son podcast. I'm Nick Kloss and my dad, Eric Kloss, and we lied. We said we'd be back after the draft and development camp, and no, Chris Patrick wasn't done. He did what we all have wanted him to do, make a splash, go after something, and just change the team for the better. And he did exactly that. We kind of had to do a special podcast because Alex Tuch in a sign and trade coming to Washington, and it was the biggest news. Signed to an 8-year, $10.5 million a year contract. David Kampf, a third rounder, ends up getting sent over. So it was a very interesting deal. The contract is kind of the biggest thing of note as far as acquiring Tuck. I think it's a great addition. We'll get more into the contract and what we think of it overall. So we'll just jump right in. We're going to keep this one as really quick as we can, but also a second move, Hendrix Lapierre moving for picks as well to Pittsburgh. So we'll talk both of those. Dad, let's just get right into it. But we'll start with what a 24 hours for Washington. Like just the
Yeah.
Kyrou trade, Tuck trade, both within 24 hours of each other. I think the team got so much better within just a day. So what do you think?
Yeah, right. I mean, I was trying to think back, previous things like going after Strom and going after Dubois, and all those things were really, really good things, but they didn't necessarily have the effect of causing other teams to go, oh, wow, right? Um, and I think that's probably what people were reacting like yesterday. And I think that for Caps fans, we've been waiting for a day like this for a long time because, even though they were different management teams and everything else, we all have this kind of PTSD related to the Philip Forsberg and Martin Erat. And obviously that was before the playoffs, and there was a reason they made that change and everything. But I think it's always just kind of hung over us. So when we go into the off season, what are we going to do? What kind of move are we going to make? You're always somewhat wondering, like, if we trade somebody away, are they going to get better when they leave here? And all that kind of stuff. So, coming off this, it's like you're suddenly astounded that like we made the big news, right? I mean,
Mhm.
Robertson will be a big signing as well. But this is the big news. Alex Tuch was probably one of the well, he was the most coveted UFA as of July 1st, whereas Jason Robertson's an RFA technically. And
Yeah.
so, I think that was really the big news. And, obviously, we'll get into kind of his profile and we can get into reasons I like him. And, but I think it was great, a great splash. The fact that it's two really kind of solidified in my mind that it's great because I think as a Caps fan, you're dreading when Ovi's going to leave. You're hoping he's coming back this year, and obviously now potentially they can go for a cup, right? But it also, as a Caps fan, it's like, okay, well, now I can look at the team and see a really, really strong team and some great, locker room characters for the next 5 years. And, if you
Yeah.
look at their team now, they've got, about 6, 7, 8 core guys that are going to be here for the next 5 years. You can count on that. So, really excited for the franchise. I mean, it just means there's definitely a post Ovi era that's coming that's going to be exciting to watch.
Yeah, I think you have every reason to be excited. And for so long, I mean, everyone pretty much thought people think of the Penguins too, but like when that era comes to the end with Crosby and Ovi, the teams would just kind of be done and have to. People thought that 5 years ago. Well,
Right.
Washington's been good. Pittsburgh made the playoffs, so they've kind of proven that wrong. And the Caps, especially, have, like you said, they've set themselves up to still be good.
Mhm.
They've never admitted a rebuild. They just aren't saying that once Ovi's gone, that's where we're looking, that's where we're heading. No, every contract when you look at the deals that Chikrin signed, PLD signed, Roy signed, Logan Thompson, securing all these guys for long term for the next, 4, 5, 6, 7, and now 8, we'll talk about that,
Hmm.
years.
Right.
And so it's just really impressive, like you said. So there's reason to be excited about next year, but there's also reasons to be excited, like you said, even when Ovi's gone, there's more cap space there as well once he leaves. So, and he'll be a well-paid player, like that. He's Alex Ovechkin. We will pay that man a respectable
Right.
amount of money because he's earned that.
Hmm.
Um,
Right.
so yeah, I think it's really awesome. The thing for me is that the Caps got so much better in the last 48 hours. Look at
Right.
how good the top 9 just got in the last 48 hours. Two guys just joined our team who have multiple 30-goal seasons.
Right.
And for Tuck, he's coming off back to back.
Hmm.
Kyrou needs to get back to form. But
Hmm.
I mean, and then we were joking earlier, I'll say it right now. You can never, ever, I don't want to hear a word to me about getting any bigger or needing to be bigger or needing more size because we're huge. I mean, you look at we kind of wrote down some mock lines, not really lines, but just kind of looking at the combo of forwards that we'll have, the 12 to 13. And I mean, you got Tuck 6'4", Ovi 6'3" if he comes back, Alexi Protas 6'5", 6'6", PLD, I think he's 6'4", Kyrie at 6'1", then obviously Tom Wilson, big guy, Ilya Protas 6'6", Ryan Leonard throws the body around. Just size and toughness is 100% there.
Right. And again, I think that reflects if you look at the Eastern Conference, that reflects that Carolina won this year. And so we're continuing to try to get size and speed and shooting. I think that we'll talk about the shooting component here. But then, you're also going up against Florida. Florida substantially improved themselves with Matthew Tkachuk and with Alexander Barkov coming back from injury. So, if you look at who are you really trying to compete against, I think we needed that type of lineup that can play very heavy on all three lines. And I also just like that. I think if you look at those three lines, those 9 individuals, they are totally interchangeable. I mean, those lines will be very fluid, and I think they're going to have a high level of talent. Again, I mentioned the shooting percentages, high danger chances for Tuck are through the roof. Kyrou as well
Which
is
was an extreme issue for us in the regular season was
right.
finishing high danger
Exactly.
chances. Because
Yeah.
I was just looking, Tom Wilson is on back-to-back 30-goal seasons. Obviously, Ovi's off back-to-back 30-plus goal seasons.
Hmm.
Alex Tuch
Right.
is now off back-to-back 30-goal seasons.
Right.
And then you
Right.
got Kyrou, who's done it multiple times. Protus, who's been close to that number. Did he hit 30
I don't think he hit
last year?
30. I thought he might have been in the high 20s.
He did hit 30 last year, right on the dot.
Oh, did he hit 30?
So
Leonard got
that's how
25,
many
right?
when you think about how many guys that we've had put 30 goals in the net, and like I know if you're listening to this and you're like, well, that's not 50, that's not huge, that's not big. Being a 30 goal scorer in the NHL is a darn good offensive player, and we just got so much better. Like you have to
Hmm.
be excited for next year.
Right.
Looking at this purely under the scope of how much better did we get for a cup push next year, the answer is a
Hmm.
lot.
Yep.
Obviously, there's things that need to be addressed on the back end, and we'll get to that. But
Right.
offensively, which was such an issue of finishing, getting enough goals, not relying on Logan Thompson to just win you a game, or your defense to score from the blue line with Chikrin or something. I
Hmm.
mean, we just got so much better on the offensive end. I think it's a great move. I love the aggressiveness that, like you said, like this, we don't get this feeling all the time. The Kyrou trade, a lot of people said it reminds them of TJ Oshie signing a blue at 28 years
Right.
old, who's kind of,
Right.
needs to find himself. And that happened for TJ. Hopefully it can happen for Kyrou. And then
Hmm.
Tuck is just, obviously Kairu and Tuck both made decisions to that also
Come to
they
Washington.
chose Washington.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Yeah.
just a we went and got
Yeah.
these guys. They both also had influence in coming here, which I think is really, really cool. I think it goes back to what Sammy said on our show a couple weeks ago of people do want to play here, they want to come here. She was 100% right. Two guys want to come here, want to play here. Kairu talked about how awesome it would be to play with Ovi. We haven't heard from Tuck yet, but that would be, I'm sure excited for it. Also, Alex Tuch, the player who Holtby made the save on, by the way, just
It is.
he lost it. He was, I think he was a rookie that year.
In
He was the
2017,
rookie
2018. Yeah.
on the Vegas Golden Knights in their inaugural
Yep.
year. Um, and has had great playoff success. I see some concern about his playoff ability because of how he played in the Montreal series. A lot of
Mhm.
players played really bad in that, but you look at every other series he's ever played in, he's been a really good playoff player. So I'm not complaining about that in any possible way. But yeah, I mean, now let's get to the other side of this trade, which is the sign and trade, the sign part. He signed
Right.
for 8 years, 10.5 million. Lot of comments talking about this being an overpay and way too long for a guy who's 30 years old. Dad, I'll let you lead it off. What do you think of that? What do you think of this contract?
Well, I mean,
Um,
in some ways, there's two issues. A, is it an overpay? And B, is it the 8 years too long? Okay. So when I look at what his previous contract was, I think it was close to 5 million a year.
mhm.
Um, Now he's substantially improved his, capital, I think. Even in Buffalo, as a leader, I think he was the assistant captain in
I
Buffalo.
think he was the
Um,
second leading scorer of
right,
goals. He was second in goals, points, and assists, goal assist points, on Buffalo in his tenure.
right. And so I mean, again, did they overpay a little bit? Potentially, you're also in kind of the salary cap increase era over the last couple of years and the next year as well. And so I think that's less of an issue. I don't think we overpaid for the player. Let me say that. I think from our perspective, he will be an essential part of being successful in the playoffs and winning. And so I think we didn't overpay for him. Now, 8 years is always a challenge because at the end of the day, you really probably have 5 solid years, maybe a you know, six down year potential. Sixth or seventh year, the person's going to start feeling a little bit of down years. I mean, just by age, I think, again. So I mean, this is not news to anyone. It's odd to see at 30 an 8 year contract because
Yeah.
it's really at 36 for a forward. That's kind of now, again, having said that, Ovechkin's broken all the rules,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, but
I was gonna say you can't assume everyone's Ovi. So yeah,
right.
because you look at the normal way to go out is the way it not normal, but Backstrom and Oshie both kind of had the big
Yeah,
contract. We inked them for a long time. Injuries
right,
derailed it, and they had to retire.
right.
And so you don't want to run into that again, obviously. Um,
Hmm.
and I think it was a slight overpay by maybe 1 to 2 million, but like you said, the cap went up. So 10.5 is really the old 7 or 8.
Hmm.
So you really, when the number shocks you, I saw a comment on our social media just that was like, if you had told me 5 years ago Alex Tuch was being paid 10.5 and making more than Ovi likely, like
Hmm.
what I would
Yeah,
have said, what the heck are you saying?
yeah,
Well, the
yeah,
comment
yeah.
was I would smack you. And
Hmm.
I was like, more valid because that would be crazy. But now that the cap skyrocketed up so much and it's going to continue to rise, that contract isn't going to be as crazy as it sounds. in terms of what we paid. And do I think, and here's the thing, you can overpay. In my opinion, it was worth it. It
Mhm.
was worth it. Like I said, this team got so much better. This move was worth it. Look at it in terms of a year from now, and 2 years, 3 years from now, how much
Mhm.
better this team is. Yes, it's concerning down the line. For me, we'll get there when we get there. Right now, this
Right.
is about being better now and being and competing and
Right.
contending right now, and that did exactly that. It's definitely long. I think that we could end up being a little bit in a pickle of what we do with him later on, and he's taking up that much cap, but I just still love the move. And if what
Right.
we had to do to get this done was 8 years, 10 and a half,
Mhm.
do
Right.
it. And I'm glad you did.
Right. Yeah, and that kind of plays into, like, you heard Jordan Kyrou talk about when they heard about the trade. He had to think about it, because he had obviously an maybe a no trade clause of some sort, I think.
Yeah,
And
he could veto, he had veto, like he had to
he,
approve the team.
right, right. So, and he thought about it, but what he said was, that it was clear that the Capitals were pursuing him, right? And so I think with Alex, you're looking at, they went in there with a deal. I mean, it's like that's a deal that's really tough to pass up. And it's also a deal, to be honest, for him as the player, you want to live up to that deal. You really do. And so I think he sees this as a great opportunity to go to a Stanley Cup potential winning team. Yeah, and be part of something. So I think that factored into the offer, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, let's give him something that not only is going to lure him here, but it's going to, put him in a position where, he's inspired to reach for the stars, or whatever you want to call that, right? So yeah, I mean, again, I think we'll have to worry about 6, 7, and 8 years when they come. I'm not worried
Yeah.
about them now.
I agree. I mean, I think you just don't, if you really dwell on the fact of how long the contract is, and you may end up unhappy, and there's no reason to be unhappy right now. Yes, it could bite you down the line, but you want to win now. Like, you want to win now, you have to do something. You have to
Right.
give stuff up. Like, I see people who are like, oh, the Kyrou trade, Washington got fleeced. First off, that's jury's out on that. Maybe. We don't know. Kyrou
Mhm.
could suck. I hope not. But it could be a bad trade. Who knows? But to get a deal done for a guy that does have a lot of talent, that does have, some market where St. Louis can be like, hey, we want some. You got to give up a first. You got to
Right.
give up a player that you do really like. Like, it's a prospect you may really like. You have to do that if you want to get the deal done. And you see teams like Carolina, like Colorado, like they're willing to just make the deal. And
Right.
yeah, giving up some picks, it's okay. Because do you want to win right now? And if you do,
Right.
then don't worry about the picks. Don't worry about.
Right.
There was a time when we were really good. We won a cup, and everyone said our future was screwed because we had squandered all our assets, signed these contracts, done all this stuff. By the time Ovi's done, they're done. There's nothing. The era will be over and they'll suck. We've literally rebuilt our prospect pool throughout those years, and now we're where we are now. So we can do that again. So if anyone's worried about us giving up our future, don't. Be happy with how much better this move makes you right now. And I like it a lot. I'm excited. Tuck's gonna wear 89. Kyrou's gonna wear 25. Saw, I think it's Ted Starkey on Twitter. First cap to wear 89 since Tyler Sloan. Do you
Mhm.
remember that name?
Long, long
I
time
remember
ago.
Tyler Sloan getting called up from Hershey. That was
25 is
wild.
Chimera. 25
Chimera,
was
I think
Jason Chimera,
I think Chimera was the last one to wear
last
25.
one.
We could have had a quick like stint there, the guy that took 25 that I'm just not
Mhm.
thinking of, but yeah,
Okay.
yeah, 25 was Chimera.
Yeah, and
Um,
just I know you you've probably seen this, but I mean, I want to give Connor McMichael a lot of love because
yeah,
his teammates really gave him a lot of credit in the social media, a lot of good positive vibes and stuff. And then I listened to his interview, really great interview. He
hmm
was shocked, he was surprised, but he also has friends, at St. Louis. Robert Thomas he played with actually, so he, really sounded genuinely excited about the
good.
opportunity.
Yeah,
That team is very young as well. So I think he feels like he's going into a very young environment, where he has, probably will have a lot of opportunity. And I think he's going to be a key asset for them. So I was really pleased to that. And I think that kind of plays into,
yeah.
what you were describing, which is sometimes you have to give something up. And that's very tough. But you got to see how this plays out. I mean, we think Jordan Kyrou is a player that has a little bit higher
Jordan
upside.
Kyrou's a better player than Connor McMichael. I love
Right,
Connor,
right. Yeah,
but
exactly.
Jordan
Yep.
Kyrou's an
Mhm.
upgrade. It's just the fact.
Right,
And
right,
that's why Connor had to be involved in that because to
right,
get something, you got to give something. And Connor's a player that really could be still very good and is
right,
a great person. And like, I think I speak for a lot of Caps fans. I'm still a Connor McMichael fan.
right.
Like,
Absolutely.
also Nathan Walker's still over in St. Louis, so that's kind of fun.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
right.
think
That's
they
right.
are even have cross paths, but they fun. Um, like I'm a Connor McMichael fan. I hope he has a great career. And I do agree with you. I mean, I hope he has a top six role eventually with them. Like that would be fantastic for
Well,
him, and I hope he
and
gets
and
that.
also and Lapierre is a little bit different, but again,
Yeah,
with
and
these high,
perfect. I wanted to get into that.
yeah,
Anyways,
these high first round picks, we've had, I think I saw a list on social media of the last 8, 9 first round picks that we've had, and about three of them have been, maybe not. They describe them as busts. I never like to call people busts.
do you know who they were? Who the names were?
Alexiev, Lucas Johansson.
Wow, Lucas Johansson.
Yeah, but I mean, again, what they were looking was first rounders, right? So Connor McMichael was a first round 25th pick. Um, so they were looking at those, and I think Lapierre falls in that category of he may end up being really good at Pittsburgh. Who knows? I just don't know. But he was not showing that here. And so he was a RFIA that, we felt we could trade and get some assets for. So
Yeah.
I think I wish him all the luck in Pittsburgh. I prefer that we not give our guys to Eastern Conference team or Metropolitan Division teams, because then if they do well, then they're playing against us. But again, I think these are prudent decisions. He wasn't necessarily, especially with these additions, going to get a spot to play. And so he gets a spot to play in Pittsburgh potentially. And so let's see how he plays there.
Yeah. No, I agree. And so just to recap the deal, Hendrix Lapierre to Pittsburgh for a third round pick in 27 and a fifth in 28. Um, and I think, yeah, it's an RFA. You're gonna lose him for nothing in a couple days if you don't want to re-sign him.
Right.
So you might as well try and get something out of him. And they got a third and a fifth, and like you said, they acquire some assets. And what I think is could I'll ask you the question, could the assets acquiring those assets, could we possibly see another move
Right.
to get a right defenseman? Because that's really where if we get that locked up and get a right defenseman to help out, I mean, you're looking at a really good hockey team. I think we're already a really good hockey team, but that right side of the defense is our biggest concern.
Right. Right. And again, I think the challenge is there's no one that I see in our system that's a number one right defenseman.
No, not at all. Ryan
and so
Chesley, like no.
yeah, and again, unless you juggle around Matt Roy and some of those things, but even if that, I mean, Dylan McElrath, I assume TVR is not coming back. I don't think we have the money for him. And Dylan McElrath is your third
Yeah,
right
and he's
defenseman.
not Dylan McElrath. I think like everyone agrees, he's just not an NHL defenseman. He's an NHL enforcer, kind of.
Yeah,
Like,
right, right. But so I think so again, from that perspective, you still feel there's a gap. You still feel that they have to do something about it. You still feel that there's potential assets. Um, again, a lot of it depends on whether they are expecting certain people like Miro or Cristal to make leaps or not. Is Beauvillier a trade asset? I
well,
don't know. That's a
I
two
was
point.
gonna say that with Beauvillier because I think you have assets, you have picks, you can pair that with a guy like Beauvillier, and then that move also opens some cap to sign Ovi and then sign a good right defenseman. So I
Right.
think that's in play too. I know I kind of give you crap for like putting Ethan Frank on the chopping block after getting signed, but you are correct. I mean, if someone's interested in him as someone and you're giving him away, but you're gaining some cap space to sign Ovi and go get a good right defenseman, I mean, I think you look at that as an option. So I think those are things that are definitely in play as well. So I think that's a good move. I mean, like I said, you're going to lose Hendrix for nothing. Might as well get something out of him. I think that's a great call and possibly use those assets for something coming up. But before we wrap up, you mentioned Miro and Cristal, and I posed this question to kind of our followers on a story. Like, where do they fit? Because it's kind of, they were primed to kind of take the next step to jump up. Everyone's like, Miro needs to see more time. And we make all these moves and they're right back in the spots they were, really. Where you're like,
Well,
where do they fit in?
and again, yeah. So that's again, we have a plethora of assets. That's the challenge right now. Okay, and we actually now have a lot of people in the top six that are here for the next 5 years, right? So I think the question is, that's why I kind of come back to the right defenseman. If you're really going to go after a right defenseman, can you package Bavillier, Miro, and a pick? That's a lot. That's pretty high capital, right? To give up for an RD, right? But I think that's probably what we need to do. That would get you a $6 to $8 million RD. And the cap we'd have to figure out. But I
Well,
think
it's also how much does Ovi sign for is very
right.
much
But I mean,
going
again,
to
I think
be a
I
part.
don't think if you adjust the Bavilier contract, Miro, it's going to end up being about 3.5 million that you're saving. You've got Obi at 9 or 10, so you've got 5 or 6 for a defenseman. Technically, a first line defenseman probably would be closer to an $8 to $10 million guy.
Yeah.
But
Well, and I
yeah,
don't.
it's not that, again, I think the issue is, and I only ask the question because, like, when I look at Crystal Miro, I think everybody asks the question, who's got the higher upside, right? From things I've read, people say Crystal's got the higher upside than Miro.
I'm team Cristal.
Right, right,
Cristal. I
exactly.
personally, because
Right,
I think he's more talented. I think he's got the better
right,
NHL future. And we've given Miro the chances, and we haven't given Cristal the
right.
chances, even though he's played just as good, if not better, in camp. So, um, I'm someone who, like you said, some people think Cristal has a higher ceiling. I do. I see a lot of people who think Miro has an extremely high ceiling, which is awesome. Um, so yeah, it's just so interesting because you just
Because
imagine a
Obi's
spot's going to open for them eventually, and that we keep on doing things that aren't really allowing them to break in at all.
right. Well, I mean, Obi's going to be gone, so there is a left wing
Eventually,
slot.
yeah, but
Yeah,
like,
there's a
yeah, I
there's a
mean,
left.
unless I
Yeah,
guess they are still very young. I think Miro's getting to the point where like Cristal was a second round pick. The pace he's been at has been surprising, like a pleasant
lights up.
surprise.
Yep. Yep.
Whereas Miro, he's getting to more of the like, it's time for you to start help like contributing a good amount.
Right. Right.
Um, so like I think that's the thing is I guess, and maybe that's me pressing on his timeline a little too hard. I don't know, but
I mean, like I
they're
said, I
sitting in the same spot again.
one or the other is probably a asset because I think that the reality is, and I read this somewhere, they were speculating that it's likely, if Ovechkin comes back, let's presume he comes back, he's not going to play back to backs. There's probably going to be a regimen where he starts to, sit some games potentially. Let's say if he
I
if
find
he
it
if he
very hard to believe that Ovi would ever sit a game
and that may
intentionally.
be true. It may
Personally,
absolutely be true. I'm just saying that's what it said was it mentioned back to backs. And so, who do you want to basically come in when he's out? Is that a Crystal so he starts to get NHL games? Right. That's part of the equation here, I think. So again, I'm not saying he's going to sit. I just think that if it's a possibility, you are looking for what's the left wing that you can put in there. Don't forget, you've got Lavovich,
Lakovic, yeah, Lakovic.
Lakovic, who basically is recovering from injury, but he's 6'4", 205. Boom, just put him back in, and he's, just as sizable as Ovechkin. So he's coming in the wings as well. Now, again, he may be perfectly fine on the fourth line, to be honest. I don't even like to call them first through fourth lines now. Just call them lines, right? Because the reality is you're trying to figure out a way to play all four lines if you can,
Yeah. And I
rotate
said it
as
to
much as you
you. I said it to you yesterday. Like we don't really have a checking line, but there's really not a need because we're
can. Right.
huge and all of them hit
Yep.
pretty much.
Yep.
Kairu's
Right.
had some, that's his biggest knock is defensively two-way game. But like
Right.
I said it yesterday, like Ovi hits, Tuck hits, Protus hits, PLD, not super physical, but bigger guy. Ilya Protus, he can lay a body. Tom Wilson can lay a body. Leonard, very chippy guy, lay a body, sort of, not afraid to hit. Like Frank and Beauvillier are smaller but scrappy guys. So
Yeah.
it doesn't
It,
worry me about having a checking line or anything like that.
right. Well, it's not even an issue of a checking line. It's really about, your first and second forward in. I mean, it's like that's the issue is that you've got a 6'4" or 6'5" guy as your first and second in, and those guys are creating the turnovers that are come out
Well, and
front for an
also
to put
like
away or a Jordan
Connor
Kyrou to put away.
Connor McDavid called during the Olympics called Tom Wilson a forechecking god.
Hmm.
Usually your fourth line is like, oh, dump the puck, get in, go into the corners. But like Tom Wilson does that.
Right.
Protus does that. Like we have big guys who hit, who, do dump and chase, can beat you in the corners, protect the puck, earn possession back. And then you also like a combination I have looking at here, Frank sort of Beauvillier. It's small, but dump and chase. Dump and
Mhm.
chase and use the speed. It's fast as
Very,
hell. So
very
like
fast.
you have a lot of options. We have a lot of um versatility, and I agree. I don't think it's 1 through 4 in any ways. I think it's just the best combos, and we've seen that from Carberry. He's not someone who's like, I'm married to these lines. No, he switches
Right.
them up as needed.
Oh,
Um,
and part of the reason he's not is, I mean, I think the one thing I remember from this season is there were some plays where, like, I remember one. I want to say it was Tom Wilson. Tom Wilson went in on the forecheck, but he backhanded a pass to Alexei Protas in the slot, and Alexei put it away. But it's like you have skilled players that are on the forecheck. These guys are really good. They're good with their sticks, and they create opportunities. And that's what I look at is now when you've got people creating opportunities, and you got a Jordan Kyrou and you got an Alex Tuch, this team's going to score boatloads of goals. My only concern now might be how are we going to be doing on stay-at-home defense,
mhm.
right? That type of thing. So
Well, and also, what was
let's
one of our worst things last year? The power play. And, we got
right.
guys who can just help us finish
Yeah,
on the power play.
absolutely.
We need that so bad.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure this episode went much longer than we ever anticipated. So, we'll wrap it up here, but who knows? Maybe another one will come because if another trade drops, we'll try to get on and talk about that again. If not, we'll talk after the draft and development camp and kind of recap that and what's going on there. So, thank you so much for watching and all the support we've gotten lately. It's been great to see it heat up with all
Yeah.
the action we've been making. So, that's been really, really fun
All
and
the
we
comments.
appreciate it. Um, so, yeah, if you have any questions or concerns or takes that you want to drop them below in the comments and we'd love to read them and talk about them next time. But thanks so much for watching and we'll see you after the draft. Excited to see what happens.